Hi, this is Sarah Horn from the Career Office at UWF. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what questions to ask at the end of an interview, or if that's even necessary. It's a really common concern that I hear from students that I work with in appointments, that they don't really know what to do when the employer says, "What questions do you have for me?" or "Do you have any questions for me?" at the very end of the interview. So we're going to get right into it. So today we're going to cover first, should we ask questions? If so, how many and what to ask? Let's get into it. So yes, you should certainly ask questions and you should prepare them in advance of the interview. I would recommend preparing 3 or 4 questions before the interview. The reason that this is important is employers, first of all, they want to know if you have any questions genuinely. They want to answer any questions that you have, but it also shows that you have a genuine interest in the job and in the company, and it shows that you are truly and honestly considering the job for yourself. I think a lot of people take for granted that when they interview for a job, it implies that they're interested in the job, but employers encounter a lot of people who are just interested in the job for the paycheck that they might receive or the benefits that it would offer, and not for the job itself. So by asking thoughtful questions, you can reassure the employer that you are genuinely interested in this job because of the work that you would do. As you prepare these questions, it's also important to remember that every question that you ask communicates something about you indirectly. So there's always an undertone or a connotation under the question that you ask, and it can reveal something about you to the employer. So in addition to that, having no questions to ask at the end of the interview, or saying, "No, I don't think I have any questions," that communicates that you may not be very engaged in the job search process, or that you're not terribly motivated to get this job. So let's avoid that by talking about what types of questions are good to ask, what types of questions are bad to ask. So in general, I say that questions you should avoid asking is any question that makes you sound ignorant, or any question that makes you sound greedy, or like you're only interested in what you would receive or what benefit you would receive from the job. Good questions to ask show that you're interested, that you're truly considering the work, and that you're being really thoughtful about this process, or that you have some good experience to offer. So here are 5 questions in the good column and 5 questions in the not good column. So some good questions to ask: how would you describe the leadership style of this department's management? That shows that you're really interested in evaluating the leadership strategies. How would you describe this department or company's culture? And then this one, it would only work if you've done some research in advance and you know what's going on with the company. This is just an example of a time that you might have learned something that's new going on in the company, and you want to ask how that affects you potentially. So I learned about the company's recent acquisition. How will this change the onboarding process? Do you have any hesitations about my candidacy? And what is one thing that I could work on to become an even stronger candidate for this position? The reason that I recommend asking these 2 questions is that it can give you a feel for what the employer is thinking about you in terms of how well they think you would do this job. And it can also give you an opportunity to address any potential shortcomings that they're perceiving. Questions that are not good to ask: what's the salary for this position? That can make you sound a little bit greedy. What does this company do? What location is this job intended for? How many vacation days will I get? Or what's your name again? So I'm going to go into detail about why some of these questions are good and why some of these questions are bad. So how would you describe the leadership style of this department's management? This is a good question because it would provide you with good information for you to learn in order to evaluate the position and whether or not you're interested in it. I learned about the company's recent acquisition. How will this change the onboarding process? Asking this question shows that you're aware of current events surrounding the company and you're interested in those current events' impact on the company. Do you have any hesitations about my candidacy? This gives you a chance to address any of the employer's concerns, and it also helps you know your likelihood of being selected for the position. So if it turns out that they don't think you're the best candidate and they go ahead and let you know, then you can keep moving on and not worry too much about hearing back from this job. What is one thing that I could work on to become an even stronger candidate for this position? This is a good question to ask because it demonstrates that you're motivated and that you have sincere interest in the position, and it allows you to learn about their opinion, again, of your candidacy, kind of like this question. So those are a few good questions to ask. You don't have to ask these exact questions, but I wanted to give you a few examples so that you can perhaps think of your own, or you can use these if you'd like to. Here are some of the questions that are not good to ask and why. What's the salary for this position is a bad question to ask because it can make you look greedy and make you look like you're only interested in the benefit that you would receive from working in this position. At this stage, interviewers are more interested in seeing that you are genuinely interested in the job because you want to work in that job, not because you want to earn a certain salary. What does this company do? You should know the answer to this question before interviewing for the job. So by asking it, it makes you look unprepared and potentially even ignorant. What location is this job intended for? Usually that's going to be listed in the job description, so it makes you look like you didn't thoroughly read the job description if you ask about that. How many vacation days will I get? This can send the message to the employer that you are really only interested in the next opportunity to take a vacation. And again, it's kind of like the salary question, makes you perhaps look like you're a little bit more interested in the benefits that you would receive from the job than the benefits you would contribute to the company. And lastly, what's your name again? Oh my goodness. Of all the questions, I think this one might be the worst. It makes you seem really uninterested or unprofessional if you don't remember the interviewer's name. So by all means, do whatever you need to do to remember the interviewer's name so that you don't have to ask this question at the end of the interview. I hope that this was helpful. Our next video is going to focus on what to do after the interview, if anything. So I hope that you'll tune in and watch that. If you have any questions, please let me know. I hope that this is helpful in evaluating what types of questions are good and what types of questions are not so good to ask. Thank you.